Whoever said to use those Jesus hair bars gave you good advice, honest. Because the only way you beat me is in a Kid Twist look-alike contest. All those lines about your hair, man, I want to do that and see how my hand would feel. That's more like the inside of a banana peel or the wrapper of a Happy Meal.
Hi, my name is Wilkin Brutus with Oogie Woogie. I am in Toronto, Canada right now with Kid Twist.
What's up?
How you doing, Kid?
I'm great, man. How are you?
What up, Kid? Do you know any other up-and-coming Toronto-based battle rappers that you think, okay, I'm kind of done, you can give the torch to?
Not really. Not for like my specific kind of
battle
genre.
rap?
You know,
Right,
what I mean?
right.
Yeah, because people are much more focused on. Bars. That's what it's all
The
about,
bars.
right? The comedy is not as popular anymore. So
Right.
I feel like I have to like carry the torch for comedy a little bit.
You think so?
know?
Well, what about the conceited dumb
Yeah,
battle
true.
was
Yeah,
kinda-
well, I guess that's an interesting point because Conceited is kind of like he has the other style that he uses on Wild and Out, right?
Right,
So it's
right.
kind of like that is sort of the home of comedy and battle rap
Right.
now is like this Nick Cannon sketch show.
Like, what do you think is the state of battle rap?
The state of battle rap right now.
In terms of people who are involved in the culture,
Yeah.
and for people who are sort of like just now learning about the art
Right.
medium.
Right.
You know?
It's at a really interesting point right now because there is a self-sufficient culture around it. You have a few really big name leagues that are really making a go of it, that are giving people full-time jobs to just run these leagues as their profession. And even a handful of the top battle rappers are just making a living off of battling and off of performing. So that's cool. And you have the fans who are now knowledgeable enough to really appreciate the material. So you can bring super intricate layered wordplay. You can bring references to something that happened 2 years ago in this guy's career and the fans will know it, which is really important for battling because you get that instant reaction that you're always looking to have from the audience. So it's really great in terms of the community itself. An interesting thing that has been difficult for battling is how to bring it to the next level now, because you've had a few different situations and companies try to get involved where it's just someone coming in with a lot of money. They're like, oh, this is a popular thing right now. They throw an event and it doesn't go well. I actually
Joe
think
Budden.
the Joe Budden, exactly. Yeah, to name names, the
Yeah,
Joe
yeah.
Budden
I'm
event,
sorry,
the Total Slaughter
the Total
event,
Slaughter
you know,
just-
film on TV.
Corporatocracy in your face.
Yeah, but the cool thing about that, sort of the positive side to that, if you want to put a spin on it, is that it shows kind of how authentic battling is. Like it resists integration into those kind of traditional media spaces.
What do you think are the differences between slam poetry, which is the competitive
Right.
aspect of performance
Right.
poetry, and battle rap? They're on the same
Yeah.
stage, essentially, but the subject matter is oftentimes different, obviously.
To me, battle rap is just more visceral. I think
Yeah.
I think it's kind of like I've always looked at it as sort of like populist poetry. You know, it's like it's poetry that wouldn't necessarily call itself poetry, which to me is ironically way more poetic
Right.
than kind of having these like literary pretensions. Because if you look at it, like if you just look at a battle verse written down, it is literature. But I actually prefer that it sort of resists integrating into that idea because there's so much kind of like baggage and nonsense. And I'm speaking now as someone who like is also involved in the literary world and very much tries to be a part of that, but there's just so much like nonsense that comes with it, you know? And I like that battle rap is its own thing. It's like, no, we don't want any part of this. Like you have to come to us on our terms. I think battle rap reflects where society is at right now.
Right
like
now.
this is really this is like the hearts and minds of the people, you know what I mean? Whereas slam poetry is like it's cool and I definitely watch some of it and appreciate it, but it doesn't to me speak on that same visceral level that battling does. There's just something about battling that's raw human
Right.
nature on display. You know,
On
it's like
display.
it cuts away everything pretentious about literature.
About literature.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the differences between Canadian battle
Okay.
rappers? Because we are in Toronto.
Yep.
Your thoughts on Canadian battle rappers versus American battle rappers? Are there
Yeah.
distinct differences or similarities?
There are this has been something that's always been interesting just in Canadian rap in general. Is we live right next to the States. We live right next to like the Mecca.
America.
So we always feel like we have that inferiority complex. We always feel like we're living in the shadow a bit. And Drake has kind of given the city its own image finally in terms of greater hip hop. I remember a comment someone made to me about why I had success in the early King of the Dot days and why Americans responded to what I was doing. And it was because like I represent what an American thinks of Canada. It's just like your bratty little sarcastic cousin, which kind of describes my style. But it's just like fits that idea of like, you know, a Canadian acting hard isn't necessarily going to get the same reaction in the States because it's like, nah, like
No,
you're
like
from Canada.
Right.
So it was easier for me to break through with the style and image that I have. And that, I guess that's kind of how people looked at Canada for a while, but certainly there's far more diverse styles here, and I think now you have a lot of guys who are coming up who are definitely influenced by the bar heavy style. But I mean, if anything, if you think about larger culture, the Canadian identity is really just not having an identity, right? It's
also
about diversity.
fragmented
So
as well.
totally, yeah.
It's similar to the States in that way, where
Right.
people have their own idea of what America is.
Yes.
Their own
Right.
America.
That's true.
The South is very much different from the
Right.
North, the Midwest,
Yeah.
and whatnot. So I'm sure that those regional differences exist here in
Yeah,
Canada.
yeah. And speaking of that, I mean, I think that it's interesting. Like in Western Canada, you have like Vancouver is very much developing its own scene right now, which is awesome. As well as Calgary has had a very strong division in King of the Dot. So I think maybe if you look region by region, like there are some really interesting, maybe more typically Canadian styles out there.
Right. You're now writing a book.
Yep.
A lot of rappers aren't writing books, even though they develop really intricate rhyme schemes.
Right.
They have a great storytelling ability, but they aren't navigating that part of the
Right.
literary world.
Yeah.
What made you decide to enter that world?
Battle rapping and writing, I found so many similarities. There's so much about like the performative aspect of battle rap that actually really applies to writing prose in a way that people might not think of. Because you're always performing as
Yeah,
a writer.
it's constantly-
Whether you like it or not, you always have an image. You're
ongoing
always on
engine.
stage through your words, even if
Right.
someone is just sitting there writing them. And just connecting with an audience. That's a huge problem, I think, with modern literary fiction. Is it's written for this really small niche.
Right,
And
right.
the writing that I like from, you know, kind of the early 20th century, late 19th century, that kind of stuff, this was like mass entertainment for people. It was connecting with people on that level that battle rap was. So I'm trying to figure out how to bring that to my fiction.
Word.
So yeah, I just think there are all kinds of lessons that people involved in any pursuit can apply across a whole bunch of different creative things. So yeah, if you're a battle rapper, if you're a YouTuber, if you're a musician, if you're a blogger, if you're an essayist, a fiction writer, whatever, I would really encourage you to get out there and meet people involved in these other pursuits, to try your hand at different things yourself, and just to think about how what you learn over here can maybe apply to what you're involved in elsewhere.
Right.
That to me is the future, and that's what's really exciting about being a battle rapper and just being alive in the 21st century.
Are you listening to this, kids? You can do anything with that pen.
The cliche in battle rap is that you're always battling yourself because you're trying to top your last performance. In writing, you're really just battling
you're just
yourself.
like,
There's no
things
crowd,
up.
there's no opponent. So
Right,
yeah.
right. Thanks a lot, man.
man.
Uji Wuji.
Yes. Uji
Yes,
Wuji.
sir. Thanks for watching Uji Wuji. Once again, my name is Wilkin Brutus.
I'm Kid Twist.
It's not their news.